Welcome to The Explainer. You know, in just the last few years, a brand new technology has basically turned our world upside down. It's called the Large Language Model, or LLM, and it's the real engine behind this massive AI revolution we're all seeing. So let's get into it. We're going to break down what these models are, figure out how they got so incredibly smart so fast, and take a look at where this is all headed.
And to really get a feel for just how huge this is, check out this quote from Bill Gates. Look, he's not talking about some small software update here. What he's getting at is a total, fundamental shift in how we create things and solve problems. I mean, we're talking about a whole new chapter in technology, one that's going to touch pretty much every part of our lives, how we work, how we learn, you name it.
And believe me, that vision is not some far-off dream. This number right here, it shows you just how fast this has become a reality for millions and millions of people. By 2024, ChatGPT, just ChatGPT alone, was pulling in over 200 million visitors every single month. Now, to put that into perspective, it took giants like Instagram years to hit that kind of audience. So yeah, this is no longer some niche tech for a few researchers in a lab. It's a full-blown global phenomenon.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics. What exactly is an LLM? Then we'll rewind a bit to see how we got here. After that, we'll explore the world they're already building around us, tackle some of the big challenges, and finally, we'll peek over the horizon at what's coming next for AI.
All right, let's dive right in with the absolute basics. I mean, you've heard the term LLM thrown around everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean? Let's cut through all the buzzwords and get to a clear definition.
Okay, so at its heart, a large language model is an AI that's been fed a library of text so ridiculously huge it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. I'm talking pretty much the entire public internet, plus countless books, articles, everything. Now, the key thing to get is that it doesn't understand things the way you and I do. Instead, it's just a master pattern recognizer. It learns the grammar, the facts, the styles, and all the subtle connections between words so incredibly well that its main job becomes just predicting the next word in a sentence. And it gets so good at it that the text it generates feels, well, surprisingly human.
You know, it really helps to see where LLMs fit in the grand scheme of AI. So you've got your traditional AI, right? That's the stuff that's mostly predictive. Think fraud detection on your credit card or that spam filter in your email. Then you have this bigger umbrella called generative AI. That's any AI that creates new stuff, whether it's text, images, or even music. Now, LLMs, they are a super powerful, specialized part of generative AI. Their one and only focus is the incredibly complex, messy, and nuanced world of human language.
So here's a good way to think about it. When you're using a tool like ChatGPT, you're basically driving a generative AI car. But that incredibly powerful, sophisticated engine under the hood, the thing that's actually doing the heavy lifting, understanding where you want to go, and figuring out how to get you there, that's the large language model.
But look, this technology didn't just pop out of nowhere, not at all. To really get what's happening with this LLM revolution, we've got to go back in time and trace its evolution. It's a story that's been building piece by piece for more than 100 years.
So this whole journey kicks off way back in 1883 with the simple concept of semantics, basically studying how words connect to make sense. From there, you see early steps like Eliza, one of the first chatbots, and then a huge leap with the World Wide Web going public, which gave us the massive ocean of data these models need to swim in. But the real aha moment, the spark that lit the fuse for everything we see today, that was in 2017. That's when Google researchers introduced something called the transformer architecture. That right there was the absolute game changer that made ChatGPT possible just 5 years down the road.
So how do these things actually learn to talk? Well, it happens in a few key steps. First, there's the initial training where it just gobbles up all that text data. Then it gets fine-tuned for more specific jobs. But the real magic ingredient is a mechanism called self-attention. Think about it like this. If I say, the robot picked up the ball because it was heavy, you instantly know it refers to the ball. Self-attention is what gives the AI that same kind of contextual superpower. So in the end, it's not really thinking. It's just making an unbelievably sophisticated statistical guess about what the most likely next word should be.
Okay, so we've got the how it works down. Now for the fun part. What are these things actually doing out there in the real world? Because trust me, the applications are already everywhere and they're fundamentally changing how we all work and create.
So, what can they actually do? Seriously. The answer is kind of staggering, and that list is growing every single day. So let's break it down into a few of the key areas where they're already making a massive difference.
Okay, first up, content and creativity.
If you do anything that involves writing or even coding, these things are like having a super-powered assistant. They can help you bust through writer's block, draft that tricky email in seconds, take a 50-page report and spit out the bullet points, or even write a chunk of code just from you describing what you want. It's an absolutely huge productivity boost for literally millions of people.
And then there's the business world. LLMs are quickly becoming the secret weapon for efficiency and getting a real edge. Think about it. They can scan thousands of customer reviews in a flash to tell you what people really think. They can help you tune up your website so more people find you on Google, and they're powering those new customer service chatbots that, are actually helpful and don't make you want to pull your hair out.
And it gets even more specialized from there. See, these models can be fine-tuned with very specific data to basically become experts in a certain field. So, in healthcare, they might help a doctor generate a clinical report, or even better, translate complicated medical jargon into plain English for a patient. In finance, they can summarize dense market data. And for lawyers, they can do the work of sifting through mountains of legal documents that used to take weeks and do it in minutes.
But of course, it's not all sunshine and roses. Just like with any technology this powerful and this new, the road ahead is, well, it's bumpy. This incredible power brings with it some really serious challenges and tough ethical questions that we as a society absolutely have to deal with.
And we're not talking about minor bugs here. These are fundamental problems. Since LLMs learn from the internet, which means they learn from us, they can pick up and even amplify our worst biases. Then there's the whole hallucination thing, where the AI just makes stuff up. It'll state something completely false with all the confidence in the world. On top of that, you have the insane cost and energy required to build and run these things, and this massive, ongoing debate about consent and copyright for all the data they're trained on. And this complexity isn't just for us regular users. Get this, a recent study looked at forums where developers hang out, and it found that over half, 54%, of the technical issues they ran into while building with LLMs just went unresolved. That's a huge number. It's a pretty stark reminder that even the experts, the people building this stuff, are on a super steep learning curve without a lot of support.
But even with all those hurdles, the pace of innovation isn't slowing down. In fact, it feels like it's speeding up. So to wrap things up, let's look to the horizon and see where this is all heading next.
Yeah, the story is far from over. In fact, the next wave of innovation is already crashing on the shore. We're moving way beyond AI that just predicts the next word in a sentence. The next chapter is all about building systems that have much more advanced, much more integrated abilities, pushing the boundaries of what we thought AI could ever do.
So here are a few future trends you should definitely keep an eye on. First, reasoning models. The goal here is to go from just spitting out plausible text to actually planning, executing, and adapting to tasks on their own. Then there's something called sparse expertise. Think of it like this. Instead of the whole AI brain lighting up for every question, only the specific expert parts turn on, making them way more efficient. We're also going to see them get plugged into live, real-time data to fight those hallucinations. And finally, multimodality, which is just a fancy way of saying the AI will understand and create not just text, but images, audio, and video, all seamlessly.
And all of this brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? As AI learns to write, to create, to summarize, and maybe even to reason, who's actually holding the pen? What is our role going to be? It's a huge question about control, about creativity, and about what it even means to be human in this new world. The LLM revolution is really just beginning, and we'll be exploring it right here with you. Stay tuned.